We are live. Hi, everyone. My name is Jacob Adams. I'm a fitness coach and leadership coach. I'm going to invite my friend Matt on. We're just waiting for him to stop while he's on the phone, actually. Matt, are you there? Okay. Did you click start already? Did you already click the link? Oh, okay. So Matt's just getting through some rules and regulations. Matt, I'm just telling the pretend audience this. There you are. Okay.
Fantastic.
Hey, Matt.
Hey, man. Is it coming up?
I know you're here. You're in the room, but where you want to turn on your camera?
It's on. Live. Let's see here. You.
On the top.
Oh, it's not on.
Yeah.
Here we go. Hello.
Hey, Matt.
Wonderful to see you.
Awesome. Good to see you, bud. I'm gonna put these headphones on. This is where I'm hearing you at. Cool, man. So how you been, Matt? Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you as well. It's been a wonderful start of 2017 today. I took my dog to the river. First time we've been at the river this year, and I got my dog back like he had been with other family for 2.5 years, and so it's a wonderful reunion.
You got your dog back today?
On Saturday, so it's still in the first week.
Well, yeah. What kind of dog is it?
He is a. I'm getting an error message. Can you still see it?
Everything's good on my end.
Oh, great. Well, I'll just ignore it then.
Yeah.
He's a collie, Labrador Benji mutt. He used to be. I used to call him Cinnamon and Sugar when he was younger, but now he's no longer red. He's like gold and white, so he kind of looks like a wizard.
Awesome, man. I know this probably feels awesome to have your dog back for 2.5 years. Wow, that probably feels pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, I missed him. He's he's old, man. I'm a caregiver now, caretaker.
Did you get to go to the gym? I know you wanted to go to the gym.
I have not been at the gym yet. I did get a list of gyms. I've made very baby small steps.
Hey, man, I'm with it, dude. I'm with it. So today I wanted to, I talked to you last year about potentially, remember that? I was like, let's get some people in a room, just go talk about meditation, just ideologies and stuff.
Yeah.
I never got to it, but here we are talking about meditation and just, we've not discussed this at all. We've discussed meditation in the past one-on-one, but we've never said, let's make a video. So there's no script, is there? This is just two people talking.
There is no script. In fact, when you sent me a message, I was in the park and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I'm all wet. I just got out of the river, and then the timing synchronized because some other things change, and so now we're talking. And so tomorrow's the full moon, so there's a lot of prana coming down with the lunar cycle, and so now is the time for spontaneity, for increased activity. And here we are, increased spontaneity and increased activity.
Wow. Tell me about it. I feel the exact same way of like right now. It's today. I didn't even know that, but I did not even know. I don't really know about that. Would you want to tell us a little about that, Matt? Or tell me and our potential audience, right, in the future. What do you know about that?
So, so his name is Swami Nityananda Saraswati. That's a long name. So folks call him Swami Nitty Gritty because he got at the nitty gritty details. He's a disciple of Paramahansa Yogananda. And Swami Nitty Gritty is a self-realized master who initiated others into Kriya. And he created, he founded or rediscovered or refounded something called solar nutrition. Solar nutrition is a rhythm. It's a rhythmic cycle based on a 4.6 billion year old light cycle. And what it does is when a person eats in these certain time frames, eats certain foods in certain time frames, it synchronizes themselves to the environment, and it creates for more of a peaceful and a harmonious relationship with oneself to the environment.
Wow.
And it's very beautiful. There are 4 weeks a month. For the first 3 weeks, to keep it really simple, a person eats in solar. And that's like a time to be very healthy, very clean, work out, eat healthy, think healthy, um, be super healthy. And then there's like 1 week, which is called the lunar cycle. And it's 3 days before the full moon, the day of the full moon, and 3 days after. That's called the lunar week. And that's the week of indulgence. So if there's some food that you didn't eat, like you wanted to eat some chocolate or some pizza, like you eat it and then you eat twice as much. Like if you wanted to stay up late, stay up late. If you want to do something super unhealthy, like that you didn't want to do, like if you wanted to go out drinking all night, or you wanted to go to the concert, or you want to stay up till 3 in the morning, like you do it during lunar week, and like you indulge for that 7 days, and then during the next 21 days you go back with the solar cycle. And so what it does is over time it creates balance of light and dark, balance of yin and yang in ourselves.
Wow. And so how long have you been doing that, Matt? Because obviously probably have to replay that later and kind of get some of the details, because it sounds like it's simple enough, because you do it at the end of the month, sort of. We've talked about it before in passing, and indulgence. But how long have you been doing this?
Since 2008, I started to dabble. And then when I returned to America in 2010, I really started to integrate it into my lifestyle. And so now when I do it, I don't think in terms of what do I want to eat. If I'm ever eating or drinking something, my first question is, what time is it, to then decide which categories of foods to eat. And so it's like built into my system. That system is integrated into my life presently.
Okay. And so what's an example of, let's say, give us one food that you eat at what time? Like, so I can visually or feel what you're feeling, or see how this feels emotionally or something.
Sure. So if you think of a tree, what you want to do is, in the morning you eat at the tops of the tree. Which is called zone 1. So anything that grows on trees, nuts, fruits. In the afternoon you eat at zone 1. You eat at zone 2, which is 4 inches to 4 feet, which is all animals, fowls, most vegetables and fruits, berries, anything that grows on vines. Zone 3, which is 6 p.m. to 12 a.m., is underneath the ground. This includes root vegetables, things underneath the sea, such as fish. It also includes eggs, pineapples, some artichokes, some things that don't actually grow underground, agave. So if you're a drinker and you want to drink tequila at night, and then you don't have to like shoot tequila or anything crazy, but like if you drink tequila, what happens is it's just easier for the body to process out that alcohol because it's in time. Same thing with like potato vodka. It's easy for the body to process that out in the evening over time. Or if you drink beer, like you drink it in the afternoon, and then it's easier for the body to process out versus the morning or the nighttime. And so like in the morning during solar, I eat almonds, and so I eat almonds soaked in water so that they actually begin to sprout. So almonds have the highest source of nitrogen out of anything else. And so almonds are really high in nitrogen, and almonds also have one of the highest contents of protein in them. Like the same quantity of almonds has a higher protein ratio than like beef. And so almonds are like really, really healthy for people. And so every morning, the very first thing that I put in my system before I brush my teeth, before I drink water, is actually almonds. Soaked almonds overnight, they need to soak for, a minimum of 6 hours. And then what that does is it releases the latent nitrogen in them. And so then a person can eat almonds, 1 almond for every 10 pounds every morning, and it'll regulate weight. It'll regulate metabolism. It'll regulate the pH balance in the stomach. The very first thing that goes in the system, the stomach every morning, or whenever you wake up, will set the pH balance and the digestion for the rest of the day. So if a person wakes up and drinks coffee, if a person wakes up and eats like a donut, then their system's set up for carbohydrates and processed sugar all day long. But if they eat almonds, then it's set up to process protein all day long, which has a much longer burn rate. And it's like way healthier for the system. And you're not like craving things as much and stuff.
Yeah, man, I'm going to actually try the almond thing. I'll talk to you about it later, of course, or give you some quick ideas. I guess That's pretty cool. Pretty cool, Matt. Thank you always for sharing. You always have a different take on nutrition that I've not really heard of these takes, honestly, man. So thank you for sharing those for real.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for asking.
Mm-hmm. So getting into meditation, because I know our time is limited today. We have about 30 minutes or maybe 25. Do you have to be do we want to end this in around 7:25 or just so I have an idea of where we're at?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So meditation, Matt, briefly, my quick story on that is I started yoga. I don't know if you know this. I don't think I've ever told you. I don't know. I just started yoga. I was teaching yoga classes, and then one time I did hot yoga. I saw at this hot yoga studio named Bikram, there was a book in the back, and it was for hot yoga or Bikram. And then I also saw autobiography of a yogi there. Well, I saw autobiography of a yogi there. I bought autobiography of a yogi on my Audible. And then he started talking about, Yogananda started talking about Kriya Yoga. I said, I'm going to do Kriya Yoga one day. I didn't even know what that was. Or
yes. was speaking with you.
I was like, one day I'm going to have that cool thing because he made it sound amazing. And then it wasn't until 2012 so this is already many years later, that I said, I have to do something different spiritually because I felt I was, not growing. I felt like I was stagnating. So I needed to change something. Spirituality, I think, was the area that was my zone that looked like to me like that was the only weakness I could think of that had not been looked at. And then 2014, I actually started. And then 2016 was the first year, 2016. So almost 10 years later, it was the first year where I actually built a consistent practice.
Wow, what a beautiful story of evolution. And speaking of synchronicity, there you were in a yoga studio. Yogi Bikram has the utmost reverence for Paramahansa Yogananda. And in the movie Awake, which is a documentary about Yogananda's life, they interview Yogi Bikram, and he talks very lovingly of Yogananda. And Yogi Bikram was really popularized yoga in the West in the 60s and 70s. I mean, he would sit there and then have a little 6-inch ramp on either side of his body, and then a truck would drive over him, and people were like, how are you living? How is that even possible? And he was blowing everybody's minds. Yogi Bikram's amazing, and it's wonderful that that all of those things synchronized to lead you to Yogananda, and then again brought you back to the meditation. And that's how God works. God works in circles and cycles and comes out and brings people into the fold, a little bit closer, a little bit closer, a little bit closer, until your guru just gives you a big hug.
So, so Matt, thank you for acknowledging that. And how about you? What was your story with meditation? I mean, because I think if anybody's watching this in Japan or England or Texas, wherever they're at, Florida, they're gonna stumble onto YouTube. They'll see this talk, two yogis talking. Do you consider yourself a yogi, man? I consider myself a yogi based on the simple definition: someone in the search for God. How about you? Do you resonate with that?
Yes, absolutely. I'm a yogi in that definition. Paramahansa Yogananda and the ancient rishis of India that developed yoga, their definition is a little more specific. You're also considered a yogi, is somebody someone who meditates with scientific techniques to commune with God. And you use Paramahansa Yogananda's techniques or Kriya Yoga, which Yogananda taught, and that is a definite scientific technique for communion with God. And we are both yogis, and anyone who uses scientific methods to commune with God is considered a yogi. So person can be a yogi Buddhist or a yogi Hindu or a yogi Christian or a yogi Muslim. My blood is half Jewish, half Christian, and I'm a yogi. So I pretty much only practice yoga.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. For me, I actually consider myself a yogi Catholic or a Catholic yogi because, does that make sense to you? Does that make any sense?
Absolutely. So Lahiri Mahashaya, who was the direct disciple of Mahavatar Babaji and began initiating the world into Kriya Yoga once he was reinitiated himself and then given permission by Babaji, he would say, he said very specifically, a Muslim should practice Kriya Yoga and then bow 5 times and do their pranams 5 times daily. And a Christian should do their Kriya Yoga and then they should study the Bible and pray to Christ regularly. And you, as someone who practices Kriya Yoga is non-denominational, has nothing to do with religion, and is practiced to enhance religion, to enhance communion with God, Christ, Muhammad, the saints, and the masters, to create an inner peace and a place of, and to cultivate an inner sanctum whereby God, Christ, and the masters are able to flow through and commune.
I love it, man. Since I've been meditating for a while, I actually know well, I feel that inner sanctum is developing. It's I actually recently told somebody I met, I said, look, it's whatever happens, I just need an inner sanctum, I can't have my center disrupted. Does that make sense to you, Matt?
Absolutely. And one of the qualities of a more highly developed yogi than myself is cultivating non-reaction. And so a person is non-reactive. And that's something, a person becomes non-reactive on each chakra as they move up into the system. So there's like a physical non-reactiveness, an emotional non-reactiveness, and a mental non-reactiveness. Non-reactiveness, like a lack of judging, not being triggered, and that takes time to cultivate, very honestly, and a lot of practice. I'm way healthier than I was, and I with God's grace, someday I'll become non-reactive.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny that we have very similar goals, and we don't talk too often, Matt. You're in Austin, we don't live close together, or in San Marcos, and we don't. But it's so funny that your goal is to be non-reactive, and that's one of my goals, and we don't. It's crazy. Like we don't talk about this, and here we are having a similar goal. For example, one of my goals, my big goal for 2017, one of my big goals, and this came through mentors and through research, and it's to gain all of my validation from within myself. In other words, not 95%, not 97%, not 98%, like 100% self-validation. So, and that stems from, and that goes into non-reaction and stuff like that. I mean, what's your thoughts on that, Matt? That we have similar goals and we don't discuss this. We're not discussing this.
We are discussing this presently. Now is the
yeah, we're discussing it presently. Yes.
Yes. So the validation comes from the inner sanctum, comes from the relationship with God and the Guru. That's where the validation comes from. If a person is over self-validating, it creates narcissism. If they're under self-valuating, it creates like a sense of worth, a lack of self-worth. If a person's like looking to the environment continuously, like, I want attention from this female, I want attention from this authority figure, I want attention from this male, I want attention from this group, then what happens is that like I'm just an attention getter, like I just want attention all the time, because I'm mistaken and confusing attention for love, which is very common in the United States. I still do it a lot less.
You're awesome. You're awesome. You're awesome.
And it's a fucking letdown. Pardon my French. Sorry. It's a letdown. Like every single time, it's not lasting. It's impermanent. There's always a down after it. Like love is not attention, and attention is not love. Love only comes from the divine. And I support you. I support you in your efforts to cultivate inner validation and confirmation through the relationship with the divine, because then you create a foundation which is unmovable and immutable.
Yeah, that's the goal, man. Respectfully speaking, that's the goal. It's funny that, yeah, it's just funny. So I just feel like in so many ways I still speak like very fun-loving and all these things, and some of these aspects are sort of profound, like self-validation. So we weren't unmovable, and I'm like, yeah, man, that's the goal. So it seems like somewhat funny, and yet they're goals that are they require a lot of introspection and a lot of embracing oneself on the soul level, not in a narcissistic way that is, showy or trying to get some sort of over compensation, but a very sincere, sacred way. That's my best way of understanding it.
I agree. And, if somebody feels like they're not worthy, then they're going to be overcompensating at first. And that's normal. Or if they're like overcompensating, they're going to go the other way and be like, well, now I don't feel very good. And that's normal because people don't like shoot for the middle and hit the middle. Like it's like a pendulum, like it's going to swing and swing and swing and swing. And then you're going to go less and then less. And like, maybe you'll get it in this lifetime and maybe you won't. Sure, make a lot of progress.
Oh man. So what would you tell somebody that's watching right now, and what would you tell them about if they're thinking about meditating? Because the frequent feedback I get is I can't sit still, and there's so many books that talk about it. And you're not a book. You're Matt. You meditate. I meditate. We're not books. We're people. So what would you tell them? They're watching this video right now. They're like,
I would be very honest. You can do it. You can do anything you want to do as long as you make the decision to do it. And once you decide that you want to meditate, then use your dynamic will to not allow anything to come between you and your meditation. You will not be able to commune with Christ or your guru or God tomorrow. You can be at God's will and with God's grace, but like you want to have like realistic expectations. So if you don't meditate, you're not going to hit stillness. Stillness is something that you can cultivate over time. So you want to have like realistic goals. Like today, I want to close my eyes for 5 minutes and not open them. That's a realistic goal. Today, I want to focus on my breath for the day. That's a realistic goal. And if you can focus on your breath for 5 minutes, I mean, you'll be a healthier meditator than I am presently, very honestly. It's a wonderful thing to do. Meditation is not about reaching stillness. Stillness is just a goal, and then you actually go through the stillness, and it's beyond the stillness that people have divine experiences, that the prophets have. The stillness isn't the goal. The stillness is a place where communion begins. A person can use scientific techniques to like withdraw the energy out of the senses and center it in the spine. And if you're beginning to meditate or you want to meditate, that's all you want to do. All you want to do is you have your 5 sense telephones, right? Your 5 senses. All you want to do is pull the energy away from those senses and center them in the spine and focus there.
Yeah.
Very, very simply. This is the Ajna chakra, or the third eye. Agnya, third eye. It's called the Christ Consciousness Center. Back during the time of the Rishis, it was called the Krishna Consciousness Center. You can look like at a 45-degree angle, and then you want your spine straight, you want your chin little down, look at a 45-degree angle, and then just close your eyes, and then put your attention here. Don't look here. Don't go cross-eyed. Like you'll give yourself a headache. I used to do this. I give myself headaches, and I didn't understand why. And then someone was like, "Oh, that's not the proper way." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's probably why it hurts, because I'm doing it wrong." So if you're doing it right, it doesn't hurt. It's very simple. So you just look at 45 degrees, close your eyes, focus here, and then you can just breathe. And just try to get quiet. And when a thought comes in, let it go. And if that's too much, just find a picture of somebody that you love. Like if you love Christ, since it was just, I talk a lot about Christ. It's because we just did a bunch of Christ meditations because it was Christmas. But if you love Moses, like if you're Jewish or if you're Islam and you love Muhammad, or if you're agnostic or you're a deist and you like a more universal approach to God, you can focus on some sort of form. then you can literally just like stare at that form and be like, I love you. I love you. I love you. And you can do that for 5 minutes. There's very simple meditations. The goal of meditation, again, is not stillness. That's just something that's here in popular culture. The goal of meditation is to help. And all you want to do is pull your energy away from the senses. And when you do that, you're a little healthier and you're a little closer to God.
Thank you, Matt. I've been noticing it took all this time to get to the stillness. As a matter of fact, my big wow moment was my timer goes off. Say I set my timer for 20 minutes. My timer will go off, and I really find myself in a good place within the meditation that I don't want to get out. I'm like, yes, no timer, leave me alone. So that was my big moment for me, because it wasn't like, okay, I'm done. It was like, the time's up. So that was my big wow moment for me.
What a blessing.
How about you, Matt? I mean, what's that, because this is obviously sacred space we're talking about. So for sharing, thanks ahead of time and everything. So, I mean, what do you feel? What's for me, I feel like I get to meet my inner self without the personality, without the thoughts, just this, how I feel, my inner energy, the way I feel on an energetic level. Does that make some sense? Because we never talked about this. I mean, does that make any sense?
Yeah. So there's the different layers of the self, right? There's the ego, and then when you, as you reach the stillness, which happens through the grace of the guru, as you reach the stillness, as you're blessed and you reach the stillness, then all of a sudden you're starting to commune with the soul. That's the soul. That's you, the soul. That's the part that's immutable. That's the part that's divine. When Christ said, all ye are potential children of God, that's what he was talking about, not the body. The body is just like this material object that we inhabit temporarily. What is beautiful is the soul, and that's the divine part. That's the immutable part. That's the spark from the divine flame. And the more that you get in touch with that, the more guidance comes, or a person will be able to receive the soul, that soul contact. The more soul contact a person has in that stillness, then the more guidance that they receive. And the whole point is to be, again, it was been meditating on Christ a lot, because it was Christmas. That's the way of the lamb, right? We want to be lamb-like and be a servant to God. Not my will, let thy will be done. The will of the guru, the will of God. I don't know what God wants, but sometimes I know what guru wants, or at least I think I know what guru wants, or I'm trying to do what guru wants me to do. And guru is one with God.
How is that? How do you know? What are your tell signs, or what type of messages do you get, or feelings? I mean, because Guru Yogananda passed away in 1953, I think. Is that correct?
As Mahasamadhi was 1952, yeah.
Okay. So how do you know? I mean, we have the same guru, so respectfully, how do you know?
Sure. So there was a disciple that asked Yogananda, he said, "Sir, how will you be with us once you're gone? How will we be able to commune with you?" And Yogananda, Paramahansa Yogananda responded, and he said, "I will be able to be with you more after I am gone, because I will not be inhibited by this body." Anyone who gets quiet can have communion with their teacher and with their guru. How do you know? Trial and error. I mean, there's an inner sense of knowing when there's a true message. But then when we come out of the stillness, then the monkey mind and the emotions, they get in the way. It's like, oh, was that real? You become like a doubting Thomas, or like, oh, I don't know if I really feel that way. I'm afraid to do this thing. And because I'm afraid, it must not be true. Well, that's false. Like, you can have feelings about something and it's still healthy to do that. Like I haven't called the gym. It would have been really healthy to already have gone to the gym. A reason to not go to the gym. That's just like me being lazy. It's not like everything becomes roses after that. You got to reach like sainthood before that stuff happens. And even the saints, I mean, Saint Francis was like curing people, raising people from the dead, and he had like ophthalmia and which is like an eye disease, and like all sorts of he had all sorts of crazy diseases and was in constant pain. And yet he was performing miracles and building churches all over the world. So the saints don't have like easy lives. It's just that they're yogis, like they're unaffected by the physical, emotional, and mental states. And they're constantly in communion with God. And so how do you know? Like sometimes I would get quiet and I'd be like, you know, something would come and you know, and I'd like get an emotion and I'd be like, oh, I'm feeling that emotion in meditation. That must mean it's true. And I would take that as validation. I would like run with that emotion. I'd be like, this is true. I was like angry in my meditation. And so I'm justified in being angry. But that's my false and wrong interpretation. The ego just being justified. What it was that, yeah, the anger came up because I got quiet and God was like, hey, you're really angry. You need to like work on that. But I took it as like justification, and that was like way incorrect on my part. And so some of it is like trial and error stuff, and just learning how the divine works. You know, it works differently. So like, if I pray for courage constantly, courage is very simple. The definition of courage is just being willing, is facing one's own battles. If I pray for courage constantly, all sorts of things that I'm afraid of are going to come up in my life so that I can practice courage. And I'll be helped along the way. But if you are praying for patience, then all of a sudden a bunch of tests and trials and circumstances will come up in life so that you can practice patience that are like really difficult or challenging, or things that a person gets physically, emotionally, or mentally upset about and they want to react to very quickly. Well, that is actually a time to practice and cultivate patience. So when we pray for things, what happens is we get in the environment what is obstructing us in cultivating that virtue, and we get to practice it. And people don't understand that. People think, well, I prayed for courage, I should be courageous, and therefore I should never be afraid again. I should just be able to do what we want to do. But that's not what courage is. Courage is like, well, I'm really afraid right now to do this, but I have faith in God, therefore I'm going to do it even though I'm really afraid. That's courage.
Right. I agree with you. And I'm working, not as like, I made a video the other day. It's like, it's not to just because you have some courage doesn't mean that you're at your capacity. It's like a muscle where you can lift 100 pounds, but if you build it, you can get to 200. So it's not to say because you're working on your courage doesn't mean that, oh, you're a coward. It just means that you want more courage to achieve more. So it's similar to a muscle.
Yes.
Matt, so I got to let you go here. So one last question. So Matt, before meditation, Matt after, like your before and after picture, what would you say are your main differences and when did you start, by the way? What year was it?
Did I start meditating? I was introduced to meditation in 2008, and I really began in 2009.
Okay.
Practice.
Okay, that's right. And so what would be, yeah.
Matt before meditation, I'm like, what do I need to do? I got to make lists of things to do. Like I always have to be doing something. And then Matt after meditation is like, I really enjoy being right here, right now.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, instead of doing something, right now is work time, so I'm gonna sit down, or right now is feed the dog time, or right now is whatever, and I'm gonna enjoy that, rather than, as opposed to like feeding my dog and thinking about my to-do list. I'm like, I really enjoy feeding my dog. That would be the difference.
Well, that's a big difference, man. I mean, that is success because you're putting success into every moment versus looking to obtain it at the end point. So I think that's a huge difference, man. Huge difference for And in what that took 8 years. So that's a pretty good return, man. It would seem to most people that it's not. It's just that when you really do the math, so many people acquire the end game all the time and yet never enjoy the process or the moments or bring life into that moment. They never pour themselves into each moment.
Yes. So. Well, may I pose the same question to you? I would love to know.
Yeah, man. Of course, Matt. For me, if I look back before yoga, I think there was 2 pivotal moments before yoga. Do you want before meditation or before the whole thing? Just before meditation?
It's an open-ended question. You get to choose.
I'll just go before meditation because it'll sum it up pretty good. Before meditation, I feel I was more into external validations. My metrics were how I identified myself. My metrics, what was I lifting? What was my body fat? What was my success feeling? What was the bank account saying? What was the car that I had? What was my image? Like, in other words, so they were more external metrics and things that have value still to this day. I'm not saying, oh no, I don't see the value in those things at all. Like, I'm not trying to be someone I'm not. What I'm saying is I couldn't sit alone without looking at those things. I always had to be doing something. And that got me into trouble because it was always the next fix, the next intensity, the next, and sitting alone with the anxieties in my belly, and I say my belly because that's where they would start, and feeling that vacuum, I call it, like a vacuum-like feeling, for me was it took a lot of, quote, courage. And I tell people it's crazy that, I was doing all these crazy things with my body, pushing my body, putting myself out there into the public, but to sit alone for 30 minutes or 20 minutes in a room by myself, it freaked me out. And now I think if I don't have that 30 minutes, it freaks me out. So it was that.
Well said. Well, thank you for sharing and being honest. It takes a lot to be vulnerable. Thank you.
Yeah, man. I actually like it a lot being vulnerable these days. It feels like it feels good. It feels good now. Yeah. Matt, you had to go. Thank you for being generous. Well, let's do round 2 whenever you're ready. I hope this helped who's watching, Matt. And I'll give you the video here so you can share with anyone you like. Do you have any last ideas, comments, any websites that you want to share, Matt? I know you're doing your acupuncture thing soon, or?
Yeah, I'm taking my board exams to get my license. I finished schooling, so I would just like to say I'm really grateful. Thank you for both supporting and encouraging me to join you here. This is just a wonderful experience, and I really am grateful, and I thank you. I'm grateful for today and thankful for today as well. You're welcome to check out my website. It's SM Holistic Health, smholistichealth.com. You can learn a little more about me. And to anyone who's interested in meditating, there is a path for you. There is a path for you. You may not find it right away, but if you have an earnest desire to search for the divine will help you in your search.
Thank you so much, Matt. And again, his website it's www.smholistichealth.com. Is that correct, Matt?
Yes, thank you.
And Matt is one of the best when it comes to his studies, the way he talks, the way he understands the history of yoga, meditation. As you heard, he's very well versed in all of in the way he presents it. I know some of the technical terms for the third eye and everything. So Matt studies very, very proficiently. One of the best in that marketplace, in that niche of the holistic health. So hit him up. He's definitely got to talk to.
I'm grateful. Y'all are in good hands with Jacob, that's for sure.
So we'll see y'all next time. I'm going to stop this. Share it with anyone you want, Matt. Okay?
Thank you, mate. Bye.
All right, next time, bud. Bye.